All right, Shalom. I want to first start off giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, and peace and blessings unto the elect of the nation of Israel. And I just got a short lesson I'm gonna go into real quick, and it's pretty much based off the last lesson that I did, really going into how, we've been taught, us Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that the so-called white man in his history, okay, mainly in the history, and still to this day he's still trying to pull it off, but he's being exposed. But we've been taught growing up in history, and then the image that this man has shown of himself, the so-called white man, who is Esau, the biblical Esau, the father of the biblical Edomites. Okay, which today they're the so-called white man, woman, and a child, and they have been painted. They have painted themselves, okay, in a positive image in the earth, and they still trying to do it today, but they're being totally exposed. But like I was beginning to say, we was taught, all of us, whether you were so-called Native American Indian, whether you were so-called Negro, West Indian, Haitian, or one of the so-called Latin tribes, right? That this man is a hero, okay? He was a man that fought for justice, that fought for freedom, that fought for what they had, that saying, for the with the Civil War. I'm sorry, was it the Civil, not the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, okay? Where America won independence from Great Britain, right? There's they had the quote, "No taxation without representation." Okay, they fought to be relieved from the heavy taxation under the UK, from the UK, or Great Britain, should I say, from Great Britain, right? And it was all BS. These men, and it's been brought out, and it's being exposed more and more that this man is not a hero. He's not about justice, okay? He's not about peace. He's not a hero as he has painted himself in history, and how he have still to this day, he want to show his image that he's a man of peace, justice, and he's the hero of the planet Earth, when we know that that's not the truth. Okay, now what I want to do in this lesson, I'm gonna, as we see the scripture on the screen, and I'm gonna read it. I want to use an example because I spoke on this particular example in the last lesson I did, and I want to just expound on it just a little bit on this particular example, because I'm gonna pretty much use this example to go into how Esau is a liar, and how he's painting himself to be this hero, this great hero in history, and it's all just been a dirty, stinking lie, and I want to say this to excuse me if this video is chopping up at certain times. I won't say chopping up, but it's cut out. It'll cut out the words at times. So this is just this phone that I got is acting up, so excuse that if you hear that on this video. But the example that I'm talking about, I want to go into the Texas Revolution, okay, which for us, the brothers that went to school here in Texas, or you grew up in Texas and you went to elementary. Well, I believe it starts in middle school. I believe it's middle school primarily. I could be wrong. And high school too. So I'm kind of rusty on it when they teach it, when they really go into it. But I think you have to. It may be in high school when you really got to get into this Texas history, you know. And I don't know how it work in other states, you know, what they teach or how the state, you know, what they teach as far as history. I'm pretty sure y'all got to take U.S. history. So we have to take out here, if you went to Esau's public food school system, all right, you have to take U.S. history, and you also have to take Texas history, all right? And in his Texas history that he teaches us, one of the main things that they teach us in Texas history, which is all bullshit, is about the Texas Revolution. What they teach us about these Edomites, the so-called white man, that were great heroes that fought for justice and peace from the authority of the so-called Mexican government, right? And some of the key names that they named to be heroes are Sam Houston. Houston gets his name after this devil named Sam Houston. Stephen F. Austin. The city Austin gets its name from Stephen F. Austin, and they got big statues erected of these devils. All right. Now you have other key names that I'll mention a few of them. That they're supposed to be these pioneers and heroes and these great politicians and businessmen and frontiersmen and different titles they give them, but ultimately they were heroes of the Texas Revolution. A guy by the name of Daniel Boone. Okay. William Travis. These are all Edomites. They teach us about. These were great heroes, and we grow up thinking these guys are somebody, you know. And like I said, I'm just using this as an example. There's so many different examples that can be brought out on how Esau didn't paint himself to be a hero in history, and also just his image that he paint in the world as he's this great hero, man of justice and peace. Another man named Davy Crockett, okay, Jim Bowie. I believe that's where you get the Bowie knife. I believe, if I stand correct, or you can fact check it, was supposed to be named after this Edomite. And here in Texas, all there's cities named after all these guys. Just like now, Esau's notorious for doing this. The scriptures say that he let me get that real quick. Let me read that scripture real quick. I believe it's Psalms 49 and 11. I'm gonna read that real quick, and I'll get back to the point that I'm making using this example. So Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Okay, so they're notorious for really stealing lands and then putting their name on it. Okay. Now Texas used to be a part of Mexico. It belonged to the so-called Mexicans, or the tribe of Issachar. Okay, and I'm not gonna go all into the history of that, but Spain had took it over, the conquistadors. But I believe around 1820, the Mexicans so-called won independence from Spain. But that's another lesson for another time. But they stole this land. The point that I'm getting at is they stole this land from the so-called Mexicans, and they put their name on it and painted themselves as to be heroes as part of this Texas Revolution. And what that was really all about, it was not about them fighting for justice from under this vicious rule of the Mexican government. You know, the different rules and regulations that they were supposed to follow and abide by, and they didn't want to, because they so-called wanted to be free and from this harsh rules and regulations. It wasn't about that. It was about these Edomites wanting to maximize profit off of slavery here in Texas. And Texas is real rich for cotton, rich in cotton fields and also sugarcane fields. Okay, so they wanted to further maximize the profit down south by using their slaves to make money off the land, right? And they had the Mexican government had laws on the book to that outcasts. I'm sorry, what's the word? That you couldn't have slaves in the land of Mexico at the time before it got before, and Texas was a part of Mexico. So that's really what it was all about. They had laws that you cannot have slaves on this land, and that's really what it was all about. Now, let me read this scripture. We've been seeing it on the screen for the last 11 plus minutes. It says, this is in the book of Obadiah. This whole book of Obadiah is about Esau and his pride and his judgment. Ultimately, this man in Obadiah 1:18, it says all Esau is going to be cut off. Okay. And I'll read it real quick. This is Obadiah 1:18. It says, "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord Yahweh hath spoken it." So this book of Obadiah is talking about ultimately the complete eradication of the nation of Edom on this planet Earth, and that has not been fulfilled yet. That's a future prophecy that's going to happen in the kingdom. All right, now I'm going to read this scripture in Obadiah 1:10. It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." Now I want to focus on the first part of this verse. "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee." So Esau have committed violence against the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the Israelites. And the example that I'm using, to express how he committed violence against Jacob is this Texas Revolution. Because all these Edomites they had that I mentioned, Daniel Boone, William Travis, Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, and there's others, many others. Okay. They all had slaves. Okay. And they killed many Jakes. All right. And they oppressed the shit out of a lot of Jakes. All right. They put hardcore slavery upon Jake. Okay, they whipped him, they beat him. Okay, they mistreated him, killed him. They did as they would Jake. In this case, was mainly dealing with Judah. Okay, the tribe of Judah, but I'm pretty sure it was other tribes scattered in there. Because Gad got some of that violence taken up against him, and so did Issachar by these devils, dealing with that Texas revolution, right? But if you go and you read the history according to Esau, they're all heroes. But the truth is being brought out, And this ain't really it's somewhat of a history lesson on that, but I'm really just touching the surface of it. I'm not going all into it. But I did want to actually go out to some of these landmarks. We did a while back, and we went into about the Texas Revolution and about these guys, Stephen F. Austin and Sam Houston. And, in my personal opinion, we went in a little too deep. I really would like to encapsulate it and kind of, trim down a lot of that information, because it's real. It's a lot of tedious, and it's a lot of in-depth information dealing with that. But, they've painted themselves to be these heroes when they were nothing but thieves and murderers and truce breakers. Okay? Because they did agree to live by the standards of the Mexican government. And then they reneged on it and they rebelled against it, and they called it a revolution. You see, a Texas revolution. Because they wanted to continue the violence against Jacob. They wanted to continue using Jacob to maximize the profits of making money off of hardcore slavery. Okay? And that's what it was all about. And that's pretty much it, So shame is covering them. I'm bringing it out that you guys, you damn devils, are not heroes. Okay, I'm using this example, but I'm really going in overall. Y'all not the heroes of the planet Earth. Y'all were murderers, you're thieves, and you're liars, and you're rapists and robbers, and you're pedophiles. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna conclude this lesson. And Lord willing, it was edifying and exhorting to the spirit. And once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, the men that taught us this truth through the spirit, and peace and blessings on to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.